2 losses.
How y'all know we had a meeting?
Sophie told us.
Oh. I think it's a part of being a family, you know. I think
I'll stop right there. I'm not going to show too much of what Kelsey said, but it did tickle me when she's just like, yo, how y'all know we had a meeting? And then she's like, oh, well, you know, if she told you, she told you. Yeah, some people.
That hesitation right there, that's a player caught completely off guard. A reporter asks Kelsey Mitchell about a team meeting, and her first reaction is to ask them how they even knew about it. The Indiana Fever just dropped 2 straight games, sit at 4-4, and now word is leaking that they had to lock themselves in a room for nearly 2 hours. So what actually happened behind that closed door?
As well.
We had a long meeting yesterday. It was a really good meeting, and so hopefully we've kind of turned the page and everyone is kind of on the same page now, and so hopefully Thursday you guys will notice that.
What were the kinds of things you talked about in that meeting yesterday?
You know, just what everyone's kind of feeling, where we need to be, what our identity is, offensively, where we're struggling, defensively, where is the breakdown? And so we literally, I think we were in there for like an hour and a half, almost 2 hours.
Here's the meeting straight from Sophie Cunningham herself. She confirmed it Tuesday during media availability. 90 minutes, almost 2 hours, going through everything. What they're feeling, what their identity is, where they're breaking down offensively and defensively. She said they rebuilt all the layers. And notice how she frames it, that this started with the coaches and ended up being driven by the players.
You know, after not Golden State, after Portland, I mean, that's not it. We can't be playing like that. We're too good. And so we needed that meeting. And like I said, I think everyone's refreshed and ready to.
And listen to what triggered it. Sophie pointed directly at the Portland loss and said that's not who they are, that they're too good to play like that. This is a team that came into the season with real expectations. So when a roster that talented gets embarrassed 2 games in a row, the frustration boils over. The question fans started asking online wasn't about strategy, it was about honesty.
And it's interesting because I saw a comment where someone said, oh, look at that. They had a meeting. Didn't Lexi and Caitlin and coach say that there's no big deal after Saturday, that they moved on? But now they got a meeting. See there? They're all lying. And I just go, oh my goodness, really?
Because here's where it got loaded. A comment was circulating that went something like this. Didn't Lexi Hall and Caitlin Clark and the coach all say it was no big deal after Saturday, that they'd moved on? But now suddenly they need a meeting, so they're all lying. That's the accusation. That a team meeting is proof the players were covering something up.
Yeah, I mean, no one wants to have these meetings, but every team has them. Everyone has trials. Everyone has shortcomings, and I'm just thankful ours is at the beginning of the season and not during, you know, September, October. No, it's good. I think that tough conversations need to be had, and we have a mature group that wants to hear, you know, honest feedback, and it's up to us players to, you know, keep ourselves accountable. And if you can't keep yourself accountable, have a teammate that you trust that can help you stay accountable. And like I said, we have the pieces. You guys have seen we can be really, really good. You guys have also seen we can be really, really bad. So it's about consistency at this.
But watch how Sophie dismantles that idea without even being asked. No one wants these meetings, she says, but every team has them. Every team has trials. Every team has shortcomings. And then she lands on the word that matters most here, accountability. Players holding themselves accountable, and when they can't, leaning on a teammate they trust to hold them to it. She even says she's thankful this is happening at the start of the season and not in September or October when the standings are locked in. That reframes the entire story. A meeting isn't a confession that earlier statements were fake. The earlier statements and the meeting can both be true at the same time. The Fever told reporters there was frustration. They said they weren't where they wanted to be. They said the passion was on full display. Nobody pretended everything was perfect. So sitting down to talk it through isn't a contradiction. It's the logical next step.
We're going to be honest. We're going to be vulnerable, and then inviting the younger, newer players, because you might have a player who's new and they don't want to say too much. And so you invite them in. You're like, listen, this is a play. This is family, as Kelsey said. And I got to be able to say what I got to say. Or there's a player who's struggling and their heads down, and you got to say, listen, we still believe in you. I still believe in you. I still believe you got it. Let's go. We don't hang your head. Don't think it's over. And so you have those kinds of conversations. Or it could be the cultural aspect, not just what happens on.
And this is where the analysis goes deeper, because there's a real difference between a team that hides from its problems and a team that names them out loud. What gets described here is the actual anatomy of one of these meetings. It's player to player, one teammate telling another, "I need you to have my back when I get beat." It's players to coaches, saying, "Here's what I see, here's what needs to be better." It's pulling in the younger, newer players who are afraid to speak up, telling them, "This is family, you have a voice here." And it's lifting up the player whose head is down, the one who's struggling, telling them, "We still believe in you." That is not the behavior of a team in crisis. That's the behavior of a team doing the unglamorous work that championship cultures are built on. And the model for it isn't random. It traces back to one of the greatest to ever do it.
Communication is such a key piece, was such a key piece to how I coached, spending time together. And I think I learned that a lot because I studied Coach Pat Summitt so much of Tennessee. And she would have the players over at the house. She would cook dinner for them. They would have these team meetings and team get-togethers. And I know for me, especially my last 2 years, and
The blueprint comes straight from Pat Summitt at Tennessee, the legendary coach who'd have her players over to the house, cook them dinner, sit them down for team meetings and get-togethers. That philosophy, that communication and time spent together is the foundation, gets echoed here through years of coaching. Team nights, sleepovers, dinners, journaling with prompts, where players had to write down what they were thinking and feeling and turn it in. Celebrating birthdays, even watching love and basketball over pizza. Because those moments matter. They're how a group of individuals learns to trust each other on and off the court.
there. And it's so weird to me actually listening to myself because it sounds like we're talking about a team that has lost like 20 games already. Now they're 4-4 and they lost the last two, and it happens to be to the last two teams they played, and they absolutely want to be better. And so, yeah, it's not like the end of the world or anything. It's not like they have Connecticut's record or Phoenix's record, but they definitely want to get things together.
And let's keep this in perspective, because the panic online is wildly out of proportion to reality. Listen to that point clearly. This sounds like we're talking about a team that's lost 20 games. They're 4-4. They lost their last two, and it just happened to be against the last two opponents on the schedule. They don't have Connecticut's record. They don't have Phoenix's record. This is not a season falling apart. This is a talented team hitting an early bump and choosing to deal with it head on instead of letting it fester. So step back and look at what actually happened here. A group of professional athletes lost 2 games they felt they should have won. Instead of pointing fingers in public or pretending nothing was wrong, they closed the door and had the hard conversation. The coaches started it. The players took it over, and they came out the other side saying they were refreshed and ready to work. Now think about the alternative the critics seem to want. They'd rather the Fever say nothing, hold no meeting, and just hope the problems disappear. But that's not how winning works. That's not how any high-functioning group works, whether it's a basketball team, an office, a marriage, or a family. The teams that avoid the uncomfortable conversation are the ones that quietly fall apart in September. There's also a layer here that doesn't get talked about enough, which is the specific challenge of leading a group of women through this kind of moment. The emotional intelligence required, the willingness to be vulnerable, to talk things through before going out and producing. That's not a weakness. Handled right, it's a competitive advantage, and the Fever leaned into it. And the timing tells you everything about whether this team is serious. They didn't wait until the losses piled up. Sophie said it, she'd rather have these conversations now. Kelsey said it when she spoke. Coach Stephanie White said it too. The whole organization, top to bottom, agreed this was the time. That's alignment. That's a team rowing in the same direction, not one tearing itself apart. So here's the question I want you to sit with. When you saw the headline that the Fever held a closed-door meeting after 2 losses, what did you assume? Did you assume drama, dysfunction, a team coming unglued? Or did you see it for what it actually is, a sign of leadership and maturity? Because how you answer that says a lot about whether you understand what it takes to build a winner. Drop your take in the comments. Tell me whether this meeting is a red flag or a green light for the rest of Indiana's season, and let's talk about it.